Well, as I shake the table, shaking the workbench again. Good evening, YouTube model railroader fans. Again. Evening. I'm right. Uh, First off, I want to apologize for uploading almost. We're actually over a half an hour's worth of content. Uh, didn't quite go as according to plan. I did finally upload the freight ops. They're under, those videos are underneath the Boeville and Newtown past, present, and future. Along with, of course, the steam ops and a couple of the other runs that I've done. But got those up there. In fact, one of them, the last one's still processing. Unfortunately, it's 20 minutes long. But once it's done, I'm actually going to put in there what's there. Like I said, for the first 11 minutes, it's actual yard ops to train the yard switcher, actually making moves within the yard, and then from the like 11 minutes into the end is actually bringing in the northbound freight train and breaking it down or bringing it in, dropping it off, and setting up the next train and getting the motive power set up for that run. We didn't actually go into that run, but at least you got to see the switching at Boeville, or I'm sorry, at New Bolshide, and the switching at Newtown. So that's taken care of. Finally. Been another one of those rather unique weeks. Obviously, normal stuff going on, but actually finally got around to filling up another one of my playlists. I realize it's a little off topic, but it's one of the things now that I've actually got a place for it. I went ahead and dumped up a couple of videos from my bowling league on Friday nights. I bowl every Friday night at a place called Country Club Lanes down on Route 40 in Maryland. On the east side on Route 40, I realized that once it goes through the city, there's a west side to Route 40. This is the east side. Yeah, I've been bowling now for almost 30 years. Has it been that long? Yeah, I guess it has been that long. So, now that I'm off topic again, like I said, first off, wanted to go ahead and, get the freight ops up. I've been wanting to do it, been trying to get to it. Of course, the roundhouse, or the turntable, still isn't freaking working the way it's supposed to. William Mosier went ahead and put out, hey, Will, he went ahead and put up some comments when I did the turntable repair, or tried to do the turntable repair. He put up some comments. He's got a similar one, and he was trying to remember how he fixed his. And he actually left me some comments on YouTube, so I think I'm going to go ahead and tear that thing apart again and see what I can do with it. Was tearing into something else the other night because it was bothering the heck out of me. I talked about, and I know I showed pictures of the 1776. Now, you'll have to pardon me. Like I said, I've been working on this thing, so it's kind of in pieces at the moment, unfortunately. It's jumping the track on the curves. It always has. It's really funny. It's actually the second Spirit of 76 locomotive from Tyco that I've had. The first one actually belonged to my brother. And one of the reasons why my father went ahead and rebuilt the layout originally was so that we could get this dude to work. Because it didn't want to work on my Pike, the one that he built for me, which was a 4x6 back in the 70s. It didn't want to run on that. His, that was built in 1950, ran on that 18-inch radius, not a problem. We went ahead and redid the layout. His old 1950s corners, no problem. Ran across them, no problem. As soon as it got onto the new part of the Pike, the new 4x8 sheet that we put together, got into the back corner, off the track. Pike was perfectly flat, level in every damn direction. This thing would jump the track in that back far corner all the time. In fact, the one that my brother has doesn't have the original drawbar anymore because that locomotive was stored across the room. Not a good idea. This one here hasn't gotten tossed across the room yet. It's come close. It hasn't gotten there yet. One of the problems that I found, and I was talking to somebody, I think it was an HO in the HO Modelers page, is the wheels themselves. And I know this is going to be awfully hard to see, but if you take a look at these two wheel sets, the red ones are the ones that came off. The black ones are ones that came from another train. Now these are actually, I think, off of a Rossi 040. But the flanges are different. These are real small. They don't allow for a whole lot of grip to the rail, where these here, there's a definite lip here. So I think that's part of the problem. Now, the issue is finding a wheel set that'll fit that actually has a higher flange. Unfortunately, these ones from the Rossi engine, I was going to put them on here, but they're the wrong size. As you can tell, they're a little bit different in circumference. So they won't actually work at all. So I have to come up with another plan. Because that Rossi engine, unfortunately, that old 040 isn't in... It's got other issues. I ended up having to take it completely apart a while back, and it's basically become spare parts. But regardless, I'm still playing around with that thing. Hopefully I'll come up with something. It's important to me to get it to run, but, you know, only because of the fact of what it is, but for what it is too, is it really worth even fooling with? It's nostalgia more than it is anything else. Couple other things that came up this week, something that I hadn't thought about. Somebody was asking how many outlets, electrical outlets, do you have how many electrical outlets is your layout plugged into? Mine's only plugged into one. I've got junction boxes underneath of, I've got the main power comes in, goes obviously to the light switch. I actually found an issue the other night. Unbeknownst to me, the main power off shuts down everything except for one power pack that feeds the lights. And that was one of those ones I forgot to show you guys when we were underneath the layout a couple weeks ago for the wiring. I've actually got two other power packs, normal power packs. One of them is actually an American Flyer power pack, but that I'm using for lighting. One of them actually controls the two blinking bridges, and the American Flyer actually controls the radar tower in the back. The reason why that's being done is because I was trying to get the speed down, and there was no real way to do it outside of actually using an actual variable power pack. The same problem with the blinking bridges. If you hook them up to a normal lighting circuit, they draw so much current that all the lights in every building or every street light sits there and flashes with them. Obviously, that's not going to work. So they've got their own. Both of them are on one power pack or one supply, just feeding those two things. And then, like I said, I've got a separate one that actually feeds the radar tower, and that unfortunately is plugged into a junction box that's controlled by the bridge, but it's not controlled by that main power switch that I was showing the other week. Something I'll have to go back and look at. But yeah, somebody had brought up electrical again. Well, I've only got one power plug. It's plugged into one outlet, but I've got multiple outlets because I put junction boxes. There's a junction box underneath of the layout for Boeville and New Bolshide and Newtown. There's one up underneath of Wykert Hill, and then there's another one up underneath of Boeville. Then there are basically four outlet junction boxes. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 12. 12 actually. There's 16 because of that other junction box that's not controlled by the main power switch. But something else that came up was, or one of the other things that I've been wanting to get to is the construction of this layout. And I've still got about 5 minutes here, so we're going to pause here for a second, and I'm going to show you guys a couple things. So give me just a minute, and we'll be right back. Now, again, because of the fact that I don't know of any other way of doing it, this shows you what the support structure looks like underneath the layout. Basically, what we've got here is we've got our L girders, and they're made out of MDF. And then we've got 2x4s for the legs. They have actually got adjusters underneath, so that I can adjust the layout. And then of course you've got your cross braces. Now I don't have braces going from leg to leg because I'm using the underside for storage. And as you can tell, this is Boeville. This was a couple years ago when we first moved into the house. As you can tell, as I move it back over, 2010. So let's pause here again, and I'll show you what it looks like now. Okay, again, because of the fact that the lighting stinks underneath of here, there's your L girder. There's your flat piece, and then there's your, I've actually screwed in the 2x4s coming in from underneath. This here is a plate. That's another piece of MDF. And then there's 2 bolts that hold up. This is the center leg. And as you notice, they're numbered. This is piece 1 to 3. And then 3 to 5. And what that is leg 1 to leg 3 to leg 5. So, and there's leg 3. And there's that power pack that feeds the 2 blinking bridges. And then over here is that other power pack, the old American Flyer power pack, that's actually feeding the tower, the radar tower. But that is the L girder construction that I used. So there's 2 L girders, one up underneath of either side here, one underneath of bowl side, one underneath of Boeville. And then for the center one here, let me move the paperwork and the chair out of the way. Maybe. And you really can't see it here because I got a piece of tape, because there's a light behind here that shows you whether the layout's got power or not. But there's your L girder. Again, but this here is holding up Wakert Hill. Let me put that back so that light isn't. And there's another one of the junction boxes. So I'm going to stop here a second. We'll go back over to the workbench. 12 minutes so far. Woohoo! Sorry. But I realized that was real quick. If you really want to see pictures, on my Facebook page, there's underneath of underneath the photos, underneath my albums, there's actually a spot specifically for the layout. Shows some of the things that I did. I did take some pictures while I was building it. Unfortunately, there weren't enough. And you'll actually see some 2x4s. Some other 2x4s that were actually coming up the wall. That's something I wanted to mention. Hold on a minute. One of the things that I keep forgetting to mention is Newtown. And if you take a look at the pictures on my Facebook page, you'll see that around the layout, at one point in time when it was in the room, there were 2x4s that lined the walls. This layout was originally supposed to be a double deck. Newtown actually sits on 2.5 foot by 5 foot pieces of plywood. They're 5 foot from here to where the bridge is, and then there's a split here. In fact, there's the split. That's at 2.5 feet right here. So there was going to be a helix. So let's go back over to the bench. Okay, the ugly guy is back again behind the camera. Anyway, back to Boeville, or I'm sorry, Newtown. Newtown real quick. Like I said, it was originally, or it is still, 2.5 foot by 5 foot, which basically makes it 5 foot by 10 foot. And there was going to be a helix inside of there. Or that was really where the helix was going to be. And like I said, when you take a look at, when you take a look at the pictures on my Facebook page, you can see where I had 2x4s that were actually off of the 2x4s that are on top of the L girders, and that's what was going to support the second level. I never got there. And I'm actually kind of contemplating it again. But I'm not sure I really want to go that route. Mainly because of the fact that I'm trying to stick with the continuous run. I love the idea, and I mentioned it on one of my vlogs before. You know, I grew up with this layout in one way, shape, form, or another where I was able to run multiple trains. And literally just walk in the room, flip the switch, and sit back and watch the trains run. Hopefully. Provided that they were in a good mood. So I definitely want to keep that part. I realize it's not prototypical. I realize it's tough to do that, plus be able to do point-to-point, which is prototypical. But, you know, it's one of the things that's still real important to me, just to be able to come down, especially since I've got younger nieces and nephews, just to be able to come down here, close the bridge, and boom, watch trains run. So, you know, I've actually sat down and come up with some other ideas. I need to go ahead and get them onto the computer down here so that way I can play with it, mess with them a little bit more, and then actually get my my drafting board up here once I clean the workbench off. The workbench is an absolute disaster at the moment. But clean off the workbench, get the drafting board up here, and then I can start drafting up some track plans again and see if I can get what I've got. I think I've got some plans, at least as far as where the base will fit. It's the trackage that's still kind of up in the air. Here again, like I said, also in an earlier vlog, and by the way, this is vlog number 7. And I also mentioned in an earlier vlog, I'm really not in an area, or I'm not able to do really much with it as it sits right now anyways. I've got some other things I got to take care of first, but, you know, I want to go ahead and at least have something together so that way when the time comes, I can go in there and start ripping into it and take care of it. But as it sits right now, it really doesn't. I'm really not able to do what I want to do yet. So it sits down here, and I run trains and sit here and talk to you all once a week. You get to see my smiling face once a week. So, with that being said, you know, it's February the 28th, 2015. We had the YouTube model builders last week. Another good show. Way to go, Barry and guys, Barry and Bill and Vinny. And I know I need to do some shout outs here too, because I've been talking to some folks and bouncing things off the wall. But William Mosier, Gino, Mr. Sharp, Walt World, of course, Model Railer, Derek Glass, and I know I'm going to forget somebody. Vinny, you know, guys, I really do appreciate everything. Looking forward to keeping this thing going, and to everybody else, and I know I forgot some people. I'll catch up with you. I mean, I know I've finally gotten around to hitting a few sites. Fish Plate Films, funny Brit, gotta like him too. So, with that being said, I am way over my time limit, so you all know the deal. Wait for the highball. Green tracks ahead. We'll see you next week.